Funding for the Iowa Girls High School Softball Championships is provided by
The path to greatness starts early. The Iowa Farm Bureau believes in Iowa's youth and their pursuit of greatness. That's why we're proud to be the title sponsor of the Iowa Girls High School Athletic Union. Each student's effort is important, and when one rises, we all rise to a better Iowa.
Fairway, along with Nabisco, Frito-Lay, and Sara Lee, is a proud sponsor of the Iowa Girls Sports Championships. We congratulate all the schools and student athletes participating in this year's Girls High School State Softball Championships. Fairway, proud to care for the places we work and live. By Musco Lighting, the sports lighting specialists, providing lighting systems for you, your project, and your community. We've reached the end of the road of the 2018 Iowa High School softball season, but I can't let you go until we play one more. It's Class 5A state championship here at Harlan, Rogers, and Ford Dodge, as it's the Iowa Girls High School Athletic Union Iowa Farm Bureau State Softball Championships. Hello, everybody, and welcome inside the bleachers. Our home away from home this week as we get ready for the last game of the season. I'm Paul Yeager. This is Laura Leonard. And tonight, Laura, we have in this final game, we have an Indianola team, as it's Indianola and Pleasant Valley. I guess I should tell you who's playing. You have a defending champ, but you have Indianola, who's no stranger to being here. Right now, they're riding the pitching wave.
Oh, they really are. Sydney Sickles had a fantastic game in the semifinals, and they're just riding that momentum. But they also have some potent bats up and down their lineup. So they are a team that kind of has come in under the radar, but that arm of Sydney Sickles has brought them to this championship game.
And they will be facing the defending champion, Pleasant Valley Spartans. This has been a great team who just, hard to say they improved upon last year, but they've got 8 starters. They're just as good as last season's championship run.
They really are. I mean, they are a strong team. And you're going to see a 2-pitcher system put into play, and they've done that all season long. It's worked very well for them, but they have some big bats. They had a big inning the other night in the semifinals to be able to pull away from Valley.
Let's meet the players. Time for lineups.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and softball fans, and welcome to Rogers Sports Complex and this 5A softball championship game between the visiting team, the Indianola Indians, and the home team, the Pleasant Valley Spartans. Let's meet the non-starters. First of all, for the visitors from Indianola. Number 2, Allie May. Number 4, Mara Bishop. Number 9, Bailey Blake. Number 11, Cassie Baker. Number 15, Kendall Klatt. Number 18, Emily Chaplin. Number 31, Hannah Riggs. Number 33, Kate Kralik. Number 35, Bella Bingaman. And number 45, Kennedy Kralik. Your assistant coaches for Indianola, Melissa Jacobson, Jordan Huff, and Emily Sones. Now here's your starting lineup. For the Indianola Indians, leading off and playing third base, number 8, Parker Matthews. Batting second in center field, 00, Morgan Bolton. Batting third in left field, number 7, Destiny Lewis. Cleanup hitter for the Indians, the catcher, number 5, Sammy Becker. Batting fifth at first base, number 99, Emma Yenger. Batting sixth, the designated player, number 24, Brooke Tucker. Batting seventh, the shortstop, number 23, Peyton Anderson. Batting eighth and doing the pitching, number 12, Sydney Sickles. Batting ninth at second base, number 42, Taylor Bolin. And your right fielder flex player, number 1, Gracie May. Head coach for the Indians, Stacy Evans. Now let's meet the non-starters and assistant coaches for the home team from Pleasant Valley. Number 4, Caitlin Crome. Number 5, Kristen Hartman. Number 12, Mara McClyman. Number 15, Caitlin Drish. Number 16, Addie Meinke. And number 17, Emily Yatoni. Assistant coaches, Sammy Urban, Haley Beals, Erica Miller, Amy Labarge, and Jasmine Lara. Now here's your starting lineup for the Pleasant Valley Spartans. Leading off and playing second base, number 1, Carly Spellog. Batting second in center field, number 9, Emily Wood. Batting third and doing the pitching, number 10, Ellie Spellog. Cleanup hitter for the Spartans at first base, number 7, Alexia Lara. Batting fifth at third base, number 6, Belle Lubkin. Batting sixth and doing the catching, number 13, Peggy Klingler. Batting seventh, the left fielder, number 3, Sophia Lindquist. Batting eighth, the right fielder, number 8, Jessie Meyer. Batting ninth, the shortstop, number 2, Mallory Lefevre. And your DP flex player, number 11, Carly Lundry. Head coach for the Pleasant Valley Spartans, Jose Lara. Ladies and gentlemen, please turn your attention to our home plate area. The umpiring crew for this 5A state championship game as assigned by the Iowa Girls High School Athletic Union. At first base, Dirk Sorensen. At third base, Shannon McWhirter. And calling the balls and strikes this evening, Tom Berger. All right, who's ready to win a state championship?
And we're ready to call the final state championship of the 2018 season. As the teams depart, you saw the call out by the Spartans. They're headed into the home dugout because they're going to play defense first with Sophia Lindquist in left, Emily Wood in center, and Jessie Meyer in right. Your infield is Belle Lubkin at the hot corner, Mallory Lefevre at short, Carly Spellhog, the sister of the pitcher Ellie, is at second, and Alexia Lara, the daughter of head coach Jose Lara, at first. The battery, Peggy Klingler is catching, and Ellie Spellhog is pitching, and they will be facing the following lineup from your Indianola Indians. Just south of Des Moines will be their squad here, and this is a team that has played pretty darn good season. But there you take a look at the PV Spartans as Coach Lara in his second season leading the team from Eastern Iowa, from Scott County. And Laura, this is a squad, 8 of 9 starters return, and they're led in the circle by a gal no stranger to winning, and Spellog, and Ellie Spellog.
Well, she certainly does most of the pitching for this team. She usually starts the ball games, gets most of the innings, and then they implement a two-pitcher system where they will have Alexia Lara come in and close out the game, and it's something that they've always done. But Spellhog is the player that gets them through 3/4 of the game.
23-2 with a .70 ERA. Here is that lineup for the Indians. Parker Matthews, who hit the walk-off home run to get the Indians to state. Morgan Bolton is batting second. Destiny Lewis, you always got to watch her at third. Sammy Becker, Emma Yenger, Brooke Tucker, Peyton Anderson, Sydney Sickles, and Taylor Bolin is your lineup. And Laura, what's Indianola have to do to win?
Well, we've already touched on it a little bit, but ride the momentum, not only of the arm of Sydney Sickles, but the Cedar Rapids Jefferson win. That was a big win for them to get in the semifinals. And then everyone contribute. You look up and down this lineup, almost everyone in this hitting lineup has at least one base hit in the tournament. And then for PV, what they need to do is hit for power. They have hit 3 home runs so far in the tournament. They're number 2 in 5A as far as home run totals. And then relax and defend. Defend the title, relax, play defense in the field. Don't worry about it. Don't get uptight. Just go out and play softball.
And it is time to play softball here. Class 5A, final game of the year, final game of the tournament. We're ready to go as Ellie Spellog will spin the first one to Parker Matthews. is a low ball. We're underway at just after 8:10 on Friday night. First pitch, that is a strike. Is swung on and missed. Parker Matthews now even with a ball and a strike. Shadows covered nearly the entire field. You can see little thin slits of light. Chopper to Spellhog. That's a tough one. She splits to get it. Not enough English on, or too much English on the hit. Not enough mustard on the throw.
Just tops this pitch, pounds it into the ground and digs, and then Spellhog just loses her footing, and a smart job by Laura to come off the bag to just feel that ball, not allow it to get by her.
Lupkin was nearby, but the pitcher likes to make that play. Bolton from the left side swings and misses. She's looking to bunt it or slap it. Indianola in the black pants with purple trim, surrounded by white with those white tops. The pitch is high.
And that's, Bolton is a slapper, and so they've adjusted the defense. The Spartans have, and have shortstop Lefevre in from her normal depth at shortstop, and Carly Spellhog in a few steps at second base as well.
And that one is pushed foul near head coach of the Indianola Indians, Stacey Evans. Her 19th year at Indianola. Former player of basketball at the collegiate level. Played softball for just a short time.
Short time. And had a little injury, and Coach Lisa Bluter at Drake at the time told her no more softball.
I paid you to play basketball, not softball. She feels really good about this team.
You know, I talked to her early in the season, right as softball was starting up, and she just had a glowing report. Really liked the makeup of this team.
Dead ball! She's out.
Gonna say must have hit the ball out of the box. Out of the box on the hit is the call by Tom Berger. So that is an out. The out was at the plate on that play because
She was in front of the plate. Yep. Thank you.
and the batter was in front of the plate. Is the call. There you get a kind of hard to see when they knock out that white line so early in the game, kind of on purpose.
Well, and you just want to make sure that you have the explanation as a coach, so you can go back and coach up your player and say, okay, this is the reason that it happened. Let's watch our footing next time we're up to bat, because Bolton is a slapper and she's going to run up out of that box. Got to watch where those white lines are.
Because you can move inside the box, you can only make contact with it until you're out of the box where you touch. That front foot, so if it's a lefty, if that right foot lands before you make contact and it's out of the box, you're out, and that's what the call was there at home. So that is now Destiny Lewis, who's playing left field. She's a freshman. Had a pretty good season, trying to have a really good championship game here.
She's got some pop in her bat.
Chopper in front of the plate, tough spin, the throw to first, not in time, nobody covering at third, the throw, safe! And going down to second is Lewis.
Parker Matthews never stopped. Read that as that ball was spinning, and a good job of Lewis legging it out, and then nobody at third.
It was a race. Lupkin was sprinting back, and that was close.
That was very close, and Laura had the ball, knew exactly what you wanted to do, but nobody was there to throw to.
And that's that play where you got to get back. All right, so now Peggy Klinger is trying to call out some signs out front because there's runners at second and third and one out. and Sammy Becker at the plate.
And now you have the infield drawn in really close.
The pitch from Spellog.
Ball.
Out.
So a little pressure on the defending state champ here early in the ball game.
And that one catches the corner. Spellog's got that eye black smeared down.
Ball.
Almost the same spot, just a little bit farther out. Ellie is, well, this is her last softball game. She's going to play basketball at Bradley.
Got a lot of athletes out on the field today. A lot of options for all of them, and Spellhog opted to play basketball for the Bradley Braves, and they've got a nice young team up and coming that Coach Andrea Gorski is building over there in Peoria.
Ground ball to second, look over to third to keep the runner in check. So Becker is out, 4-3 for the second out of the inning, and that brings in Emma Yenger.
Well, and that's what bringing in the infield does for you. You get the hot shot like that, you can keep that runner at third base. If you're playing normal depth on that play, that ball rolls all the way out there and that run scores.
First pitch is fouled off the top of the dugout.
Here we go. Here we go.
Gonna check that ball because it hit a non-fence. It hit that metal covering on that dugout. You know, now that first base dugout's in shade. Prior to, even at the end of that game, the Hoover Huskies had to stare into that sun. Didn't matter, they were the state champs today in 4A. Davenport Assumption, who plays in the same conference as Pleasant Valley, was your 3A champion. In fact, the only losses that Assumption had was to this Pleasant Valley team.
3 times. Three games, and prior to that, I think, didn't they have a 55-game winning streak prior to Pleasant Valley beating them?
Low pitch is hit. It's going to be a tough one. Yenger hustles down the line, but she is going to be out as Lefevre hits Laura, and the threat is averted for Pleasant Valley.
Thank you.
So now Indianola will have to go out and play defense against a good hitting Pleasant Valley team with a lineup like this. Emma Yenger at first, Taylor Bolin at second, Peyton Anderson at short, and Parker Matthews played third base. Sydney Sickles is your pitcher with Sammy Becker the catcher. In the outfield, Gracie May in right, Morgan Bolton in center, and Destiny Lewis is in left at position number 7 on your scorecard. Sickles has had an incredible tournament. She set a tournament record for strikeouts here on Wednesday.
You're going to see a lot of different pitches. She can move it, she can spin it. She's got a fastball, drop ball, curve, rise. She uses them all.
Headed to the University of Illinois in Champaign. And I asked her, so what was the difference in your pitching? What did you do? You know, how'd you know you were feeling like you were feeling? And I just was. You know, it's hard to explain that. And she'll have to see if it continues against this lineup of Carly Spellog, Emily Wood, and then Ellie Spellog in the 3 spot. Alexia Lara batting cleanup with Belle Lupkin, Peggy Klinger, and on down the line to Sophie Lindquist, Jessie Meyer, and Mallory Lefevre.
And sometimes a hitter, a pitcher, a shooter in basketball gets into a zone and you just don't know why it happens. You just feel so comfortable and everything is working for you. And she's looking for that kind of magic again tonight.
Is that where when you're swinging the bat, the ball looks like a beach ball, and the seams slow down, and Sickles' first pitch is in to Carly Spellog, who on the season is batting .481 with 10 home runs. This is a good hitting team. But so is Indianola, for that matter. These are 2 good hitting teams.
You know, I was looking through the tournament statistics and the box scores, and you look up and down the 2 games for each team, and what they've done and how they've been productive. Everybody in the lineup has gotten a base hit.
Hard hit. Somehow picking it up is Matthews and throwing across to first, but not in time to get the leadoff hitter, Carly Spellag, there. And that was just a great play just to even make it that close.
It was down the line, and a nice scoop by Matthews over there at third. Just couldn't get up quick enough to make that throw to record the out.
Trying to bunt it is Emily Wood. Pretty good track athlete, so more speed in that lineup. Speed kills. The pitch is bunted, taken by the third baseman Matthews, on to first to Yanger for the out. Now that time Parker took charge, and she had it all the way.
And that's what you want somebody to do. And your third baseman's got a good look at it. They're moving at the angle towards first base, and she gloved it, hauled off the rest of the infielders, and took that ball and made the out. So that's what you want. You want a take charge person over there at third base.
If you were cheering on as a Pleasant Valley fan, you'd say, all right, Ellie, help yourself. Here you go now. Come on, girl. Ball rises out of the zone on Ellie. She's not too bad of a hitter either. 484 and 13 home runs on the season. I just love to see all the home runs.
Ball, look out.
It is exciting, and as this game has evolved and players have gotten stronger and bigger, and the pitchers are throwing at a higher miles per hour, it just generates a lot of pop off the bat, and you do see a lot of home runs, as evidenced in our last game, in that 4A game.
The 3-1, low. I'm not saying that Sydney's not feeling it. She just might not be getting it in the exact spots that she wants. Those pitches are close, so she's not missing by much.
And she does not walk a lot of people, and she's usually around the plate. And here in the tournament, she has 17 strikeouts, and a lot of them were with that pitch right there, up in the eyes.
And that was swung and missed by Alexia Lara, the senior, playing first base tonight. There's a good look at Sickles, the pitch. Hitter. Hit by pitch. Lara will go down to first, and the bases will be full of Spartans.
She's hanging that arm a little bit. That one hurt, I think, right off the elbow.
She's wearing protective gear.
They're working her inside, and oh, just right off the elbow, and that does hurt.
She'll go down to first, where she's playing in the field. And that'll bring in Belle Lupkin. Last year, she didn't hit for this team. She was only playing defense, and she says the returners helped her make that transition to being in the batting lineup. And you're batting behind Laura, so I bet there's usually a couple of runners on base when she comes up to the plate.
And probably going to get the opportunity to see some pitches and have the opportunity to put it in play.
Spellag at third, Spellag at second, Lara at third, or at first. Very familiar names to the program. And Sickles gets a called strike here on that pitch.
You know, bases loaded, infield in, you got to go to the plate to get the force. You want to cut that runner down right away.
And that one's a called strike 3, and Lupkin has to sit down. Second out of the inning, first strikeout for Sickles. Peggy Klingler. And that one misses. Klinger's a sophomore, playing catcher. The 0-1. Called strike. Take a look at that long red hair.
Yeah,
coming out of her. You can see it real easy contrasting that white jersey.
There are a couple of players that have done that, gone full redhead. Some have just put streaks in their hair, but they wanted to do something as they made it back to the state tournament, make a little statement. And so some of them have put color in their hair, some just more than others.
And right now the Spartans are trying to push a run across here. Tough spot for Klinger. Swings and misses, and the Spartans leave the bases loaded here in the first.
Now talk about a comeback, bounce back inning for Sydney Sickles. Got herself into a little bit of trouble, but pitched herself right out of it.
Here's how these teams got to the state tournament, or how they did once they got here. The bracket looked like this for the Indianola Indians. They defeated Dubuque Hempstead 4-1, and that was mostly done on a 6th inning rally where they scored 4 runs. And then Indianola scored again in the 6th when they scored 5 runs against Cedar Rapids Jeff to win 6-0 in that contest. And so I asked Coach, I said, I hear they're just going to play start in the 6th inning. She kind of looked at me kind of funny. Like, where was I going with that? I get that look a lot. But it was one of those things, as the game goes on and nothing seems to go, you know, do you feel a sense where you have to push it a little bit?
Yeah, I think that sometimes you got to let it come to you. It'll naturally come to you if you're doing all the right things. And then there's times when you have to put the hammer down and really go after it. And I don't know if that's a situation with this Indianola team, that the 6th inning seems to be their rally inning, or if it's just like all of a sudden things started falling into place for them. You know, Pleasant Valley had a big inning against Valley the other night to help get some separation from them. It was 2-1 going into that 5th inning, and then Pleasant Valley scored 7 runs.
Ended up 9-4 over the Valley Tigers. And in the quarterfinal, PV knocked out City High 4-0. So that's how those two teams got here to the final. Ground ball towards short is thrown over from Lefevre to Laura, and Brooke Tucker is out to start the Indianola second.
Lefevre, just a little bit of a slip out there at short when she dug the cleats in to go field that, but able to right herself and make the throw.
So Peyton Anderson, the shortstop, the senior, stares down and watches the first pitch strike.
Peyton Anderson gonna go on to Iowa Central and play softball, so she's gonna be familiar with this Fort Dodge area.
And is this their home field, or is it the other one? I think it's this one, isn't it?
That I don't know.
I think it's this one. 2 diamonds here at Harlan Rogers that are used by, one by Fort Dodge, the Dodgers, and the other by St. Ed's, as that's chopped foul. Laura will chase it down. Fort Dodge brought a huge crowd on Tuesday night, played the nightcap game, and there was hardly space to be found on that other diamond.
I think helped set an attendance record, didn't it?
Yeah.
With Fort Dodge being here. I think the whole town came out.
No rain this week. We were below 95 most of the week, or below 90, really. Dare I say, it's cold enough to have a jacket on.
I do. Well, last year I had to put a blanket on or something as we played into the wee hours of the morning.
Well, now that's, you know, some folks don't stay up as late as we did, and it gets cold after midnight.
That's right. Either that or I'm just getting old.
The circulation's not working the same. Yeah. My feet are always cold. You know, last year we started that last game at like 11:40 because of the 16-inning game, and last night it sure looked like we were headed for extra innings in a couple of those games. Today, not really much doubt in a couple of these. Long fly, hit towards right, giving chase, and hauling it in is Jesse Meyer for the second out of the inning.
Well, I don't think these two teams have to worry as much about wind and how it's going to affect pop flies and fly balls. In those first two games, we sure did. We needed to have the fielders worry because the ball was moving all over when it got up in the air.
You know, that flag isn't really as strong, but it is still moving. But you're right. It's definitely, there's another set of flags at the entrance. Those haven't been moving as much here in the last game and a half, I guess, if you want to call it, last 2 hours. The 0-1 is looked at. And Sydney Sickles, who came through with a big double for 3 RBIs in that semifinal game. Coaches like athletes that will bat and carry a big stick even as in the pitcher spot. She swings and misses on that one. Jinxed her.
Well, Coach Evans said that Sydney Sickles really worked hard in the offseason on her pitching and working to get certain pitches that maybe she really hadn't mastered. Worked on those things, and it's just going to only help her as she moves on in her career.
Sickles swings and misses and ends the Indianola half of the inning. And earlier today, the IGHSAU Golden Plaque of Distinction is awarded to an Iowa coach in each sport who's demonstrated a successful career while making notable contributions towards school, community, and the coaching profession. The 2018 winner is from West Des Moines Valley, and the Golden Plaque winner is Tom Bakey. Now, Coach Bakey just completed his 32nd season at the West Des Moines Valley softball program, the last 22 as the head coach. He began his coaching career in 1984 at Valley, followed by moves to Oskaloosa and Sadell before returning to Valley in 1994. During his 22-year varsity softball coaching career, Coach Bakey has compiled an .804 winning percentage with a record of 827 wins and 201 losses, winning 5 state titles in 13 state tournament appearances and 16 conference championships. Along with girls softball, Tom's coached multiple high school sports programs, including girls and boys basketball, and currently coaches football at West Des Moines Valley. Congratulations to Tom, and he's the head sophomore coach of the Valley Football Tigers. And you know, that's kind of funny, that plaque, that's about the size of that clipboard he has in the dugout, right?
Yeah, it sure is.
And so congratulations, Coach Bakey. You and I have both had good opportunities to talk with him over time.
Boy, he sure has done a nice job at Valley, and that's where most of my contact has been with him, is watching the Valley Tigers play softball. And he loves the game, he loves his players, he loves to coach, and it shows. And I think his teams respond to that, and that's why they're up here at the state tournament almost every year.
You told me that we started with Lindquist and he entered his flex in for his DP?
No, just his DP is going to play left field.
Okay, so
Just
that's what he was
positional.
going to do. Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
yep.
That was my mistake. Thank you.
You bet.
Said a little lineup clarification there as Coach Evans came out. You know, with Coach Bakey, he's one of those, there's a couple of these coaches, the male coaches, former fast pitch softball players, one of them being Jose Lara from Pleasant Valley. Lara played baseball and then softball all around the country, graduated from Des Moines North, and played, he says, I played in San Diego, Mexico, California, Texas, Iowa. He's been all over. And that guy's energetic personality, I mean, he is something else to chat with.
He is, and very much like Coach Bakey, going back to that as well, I love talking to him when we have their games, and I mean, I could sit and talk to him about softball all day long as I could with Coach Lara. I mean, they just love the game, and you love to talk to coaches like that when they're talking about softball. And I'll tell you what, the other thing that I miss is men's fast pitch softball. I loved watching that.
And I bet you Coach Bakey would like to keep playing if the old body would hold up.
I think there's a lot of guys out there that would love to keep playing.
And, you know, that's something about coaches. You know, everybody's got a different style. Some are rah-rah, some are disciplined, some are, you know, a mixture of the two. And, you know, it kind of what works for you and what works for a successful program. And that's one thing in conversations with coaches here as The count is now 3 balls and 2 strikes for Sophie Lindquist here at the plate. Is that some coaches are willing to contact other coaches to find out what they do and what's successful. Line drive up the middle base hit for Lindquist. You know, it's their ability to say, you know what, I don't know everything. I want to know, how do you get a girl to hit the ball up the middle like that? Or how do you defend something like that? Is there a drill that you do?
It's a good community of coaches, and they all work together. And then, you know, if they know they're going up against one another, then they hold things a little bit closer to the vest. But they work together as far as maybe scouting some teams. And if they know somebody's going to be at the state tournament, they will help them out if they've seen a team. They can pick up the phone and call one another.
How'd you stop this team? How did you, and it helps, and sometimes when you have a short turnaround. Now, in the format this year where the semifinals were on Wednesday, had Thursday off to review tape, because Coach Lara was like, I go, what do you know about Indianola? He goes, nothing. I'm going to have to go look at the tape as the swing and miss by Jesse Meyer. That's the 3rd strikeout for Sickles in the game, and there's 1 out here in the 2nd. And he says, we'll go to the video resource. I'll make a couple of calls. And some coaches won't call others, you know, and others won't give information, and that's their right. But at some point, you're going to need a favor.
Right. Yeah. And it, you know, it all goes hand in hand. Work together, but when you're opponents, then do what you need to do to win the game.
And that one is out of the zone to Lefevre. In there from the left-handed side of the box. In those multicolored tops with the blue and white. Down to throw at first again. Yanger applies the tag, but back in is Lindquist.
3 balls, no strikes.
Becker's not afraid to throw it around, so you have to be on your toes if you're on base.
And that's a called strike. And you know what? I think if you're PV, you're fine. Throw that ball. Because you know what? The last 2 have been close to going into right field. Change up, catches the corner. What makes a good change up?
Just not telling, you know, not giving any kind of sign that you're going to throw it. And, you know, you don't want to give a tell, so to speak. You don't want to do the same thing. Have the same arm rotation, the same speed. And then it's just the way you grip it. People grip a changeup differently. There's a way to grip it and just hold the ball in the palm of your hands. You can throw it out of the back of your hands. There's many ways to do it. But you just don't want to give them any idea that it's coming.
As Lefevre strikes out, that's the 4th of the game for Sickles. First pitch strike to Carly Spellog. And that's one thing, you know, basically any hitter, we talked to lots of hitters this week, and, you know, so, well, how do you look? What do you look for? And they're like, well, I can recognize some things from the batter's box that I can't recognize from the plate. I think that was one of the players from the last game. And she says, I can see a different bend from there. And you asked her, well, can you see it from the batter's box? She goes, I haven't been able to perfect that yet.
It's hard to do. I mean, to see the spin on the ball.
Hard to handle. Peyton Anderson on the Carly Spellog hit ball, and that'll be an E6. And they'll be 2 on with 2 out, and Emily Wood, always dangerous. 3 for 4 in the quarterfinal game. Did not have a hit, though, in the semifinal game. Swings and misses through on that one.
That is the first error that Indianola has made in state tournament play. So they've been playing very clean defense up to this point. Hopefully, they're thinking it doesn't come back to bite them.
Well, PV had 3 runners on in the first. Right now they have 2. They haven't been able to score either of those times. The 0-2 is swung on and missed. Emily Wood is down on strikes, and Sickles retires the side here in the second. We've played 2 full innings of softball here in Fort Dodge.
All right, so you know it. If it's gonna go to that outside corner, then you leave it go to that outside corner. She comes inside on you, guys get your extension, open up, get yourself a base hit, drive balls. Let's go, ladies. Got plenty of time here. So let's get in, itch away at it right now, all right? Get it done. 1, 2, 3, get it done! Let's go, ladies!
Well, yeah, it's not the 6th inning yet. That's when Indianola scores, so we got plenty of time. We'll be fine.
However, I think they would like to maybe score a little earlier.
I think they would too. Here's a look at Ellie Spellog with her pitches in super slow-mo.
Well, she's so good, and there, you know, you can see what you can see from the batter's box, how they grip the ball, how she's coming off that rubber extension, and really just has a lot of speed behind her pitches.
So she's not wearing the mask tonight. The only pitcher we've seen at the tournament this year that I can recall not wearing one in the classes I've seen, 3, 4, and 5.
You know, I noticed that the other night. I thought, boy, that's unusual in this day and age that most pitchers do wear that face mask. Now you look out there, you've got third base and shortstop all wearing one, but Spellhog has opted not to.
Taylor Bolin leads off. Parker Matthews and Morgan Bolton due up for Coach Evans and the Indians. Out of Indianola. Comebacker to Spellog, over to Laura, and there's 1 out in the 3rd.
We've seen in the other 2 games, the second time around, seeing a pitcher, we've seen teams produce, so Indianola now stepping up to the plate for the second time against Spellhog.
Parker Matthews, who took charge on a play defensively. Let's see if she can turn that into something at the plate. She had the walk-off home run against Ottumwa to get here to the state tournament. Watches the pitch go in. That was in the 8th, if I remember correctly. Indianola ranked 3rd, 2nd seed in the tournament. Cedar Rapids Kennedy was between these two, and Kennedy did not make the tournament this year. Well hit towards center, but very playable on a line, on a rope, on a shot, whatever you want to call it. Nice catch, Emily Wood.
Off the bat, it sounded like it had some distance to it, but Emily Wood right in her tracks, a little move to her right, and she was able to haul it in.
And now the full field is all in shade. The sun is heading down. You can see some clouds there in the distance from that behind home look, where they're pretty nice and orange and red out there. We just always kind of have look like mountains out there. It's like we're playing in Colorado Springs or something.
It does. It looks, those clouds building up there, but yeah, you're right.
Last night we had clouds headed this way. I mean, we had some pretty good storms, as close as Humboldt in the evening time, but we were able to, just a little bit of rain. I know you and I were talking while that game was going on. Well hit towards left, going back. That's going to get over the head of the left fielder, Lindquist. And Bolton's going to be at second and have to put on the brakes and go back for a double, a 2-out double for Morgan Bolton. She roped that one. Lindquist, though, was playing pretty in on that.
Well, they had made the adjustment. You can see the infield is in. They brought the outfield in as well, and she just smokes it over the top of the head of Lindquist. And she took a big turnaround second and got back quickly.
Destiny Lewis trying to extend the inning, swings right through the pitch. As the lights take effect, you can get a good look at those eyes of Morgan Bolton as she's staring down Evans for the sign. See what Lewis can do. And that one's out of the zone. Evens it up.
Well, being on second base, trying to help her teammate out at the plate, trying to help give her a little location.
Ground ball towards second. This will probably end the inning, and does. Lewis grounds out. And the Indians leave another runner on base. They've been close.
Yeah, both these teams have threatened, have not been able to push anything across.
Well, you'd listen to Coach Lara here if you could, but he walked away because he just says, you guys got it. I love it. Here's a look at Sydney Sickles in super slow motion. Gets that foot off real quick. Get good push off the rubber.
You know, every pitcher's obviously a little different. Some dip down to help build that power. Some swing the arm way back, grip it differently. Everybody's got their own style, and whatever they can perfect, they do that, and then they try to add more to their arsenal as they progress in their careers.
So for pitching, isn't that something? That's just beautiful. Great work by our camera crew here all day and yesterday, inside that truck and on those cameras that are around this field. Just great to work with such wonderful people here at Iowa Public Television, working hard to make this visible for you. So many people doing so many things. Making sure those cameras look right, making sure that you get a look at that camera angle and another camera angle, and setting the chords, and long hours there, and the folks in the truck putting those stats there on the bottom and doing the homework there. And just like we're our own team, kind of like a softball team. I don't know if we would, who would pitch for our softball team?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I know our director, she'd want to be in there playing third or short or something like that, Andy Coyle.
Yeah, she'd want to be right in the middle of the action, that's for sure.
She loves coming up to the tournament, loves going to the basketball tournament as well. She gets excited. I think you kind of get excited coming here, don't you?
I love coming here, man. I do. I love coming up here. I love the state basketball tournament. It's a great time of year.
Ellie Spellog down on three on pitches there for strikeout number, 6. I missed the one up at 5. Nice job. And there's stats people helping us out for when, I always make a mistake.
Never.
You said that real quick because it's true. 1-0 to Alexia Lara. She will continue her softball career in almost the same colors. Almost. Different shade of blue.
A little different shade of blue. Going to be a Drake Bulldog. Rich Calvert, I saw him up here earlier. He was talking to one of his pitchers who won the Jack North Award, and Nicole Timmons. She was up here earlier, and I know Rich is probably sitting around here somewhere in the coaches area and watching Alexia Lara play here tonight. So another fine addition to a really good Drake softball team.
There's been a lot of discussion in softball circles in the state of Iowa about good players leaving the state. We saw a couple go up to Minnesota, and a couple to Wisconsin, another one committed to Michigan here this year. And there's been a change in coaches at the big schools as Lara swings and misses the 7th strikeout for Sickles. Iowa State's in the 2nd year of a new coach, but they went 3 years and 4 coaches in 3 years. Real short turnaround there. Iowa has made a change, maybe adding some big names in the high school ranks to that staff. You hear rumblings around in the coaches pit this week. But you and I and Drake have been pretty solid here in recent times, getting a lot of Iowa players and good Iowa players.
And they're just the constant, I think, in that Missouri Valley Conference. And they have always battled for the top spots. They're always in the top 3, it seems like. And they're doing it with a lot of Iowa players. And that's credit to those coaches. They've been around for a long time. And I think they know what a gold mine they have in their backyard. I mean, they could go around all summer long and see such really good softball with these Iowa girls playing, and they've added them to their roster.
Well, one of these, the pitcher who's just thrown her 8th strikeouts, headed to Illinois, but right now she is dominating And the Iowa Girls High School Athletic Union Class 5A state championship game as Belle Lupkin goes down on strikes.
Well, they have...
I tell you, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, you know, for Sydney Sickles to be able to strike out the side, and just now she's starting to get into that groove and starting to get that momentum again and that zone where she was the other night.
And we will talk with head coach Stacey Evans from Indianola. She played in Storm Lake at the parochial school there at St. Mary's, then basketball at Drake, studied elementary education. Coached Bondurant Farrar, Des Moines Roosevelt, but ended up at Drake, and she's got her son on the staff and another one, a couple at home, and she's sitting here watching these kids throw, and that's 8 strikeouts for Sydney Sickles, coach. I mean, she's dealing. What's she doing right tonight?
All right, I'm gonna hope that I heard that question correctly. You're asking about...
I'm asking about Sydney. What's she doing right tonight? Looks like she did in the semifinal game.
Well, she's staying composed, and that's what we need to do. We just need to keep those batters off balance. She needs to just have confidence in herself, but we also need to get some runs behind her and give her a little more confidence in the play.
Well, it's not the 6th inning yet. Are you trying to score a run before the 6th?
Hey, let's do it before the 6th. This is us right here, right now.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Gave her a hard time about that the other night. And, you know, it is, because you are just trying. It is that second time through. You're trying to see a couple of things, and she's going to have to run back to the dugout. We don't let the interviews do anything wrong with the... Had to take care of a couple of things. That's also part of the crew here, is they get microphones on coaches, umpires. Right. We had in that last game, we had a chance to hear what the umpires were discussing,
which is great.
Oh, it helps watch the game and understand the game. And they always think, well, the umpires didn't see anything. Well, this is what they see. This is what they saw. This is my judgment. Did you see something different?
And I think that gives the fan watching at home the opportunity to see that these guys, you know, everybody gets on the umpires and yells at them and all that, but it's an opportunity to really see how they work together as a team to make things happen.
Comebacker to Spellog on one hop, and she retires Sammy Becker. And there's always a need for umpires, you know. Some umpires have a lot of gray hair, and there's a need for some. And, you know, if you're somebody... You know, Kathy Creighton, we talked about, she's coordinating the officials this year, and she umpires in the Missouri Valley and a lot of high school games. And she has said that, you know, if you played softball, you still have a love and maybe you don't want to coach, how about being an umpire? You don't lose a game when you're an umpire. You're just there to enjoy it. You got a great seat. The Union would always be looking. I know the same is the case for basketball. Popped up on the infield. Catcher's going to call for it. Dangerous spot. Bats in the way. And the spin on those things. Whew.
Boy, and she caught it in the palm of her glove, not in the webbing of her glove. And that's a tough one. She's trying to kick the bat out of the way and didn't flip the mask off, but had to dance around a little bit as it went right up the chute, but she got underneath it.
Ground ball towards Laura, backhands it, makes that play. Nice move there. And okay, we're gonna step away right now and we'll come back. This is Class 5A from Fort Dodge.
I dreamed about flying when I was a kid.
I wanna go to the ends of the earth.
We have liftoff.
Live life wild and free and brave for what it's worth.
Everything changes, except us.
Sing those songs up in your heart. Run all the races you're meant to start. We got a fire that burns in the dark. Oh, the shot we won't miss.
Really?
We were born for this.
This is blowing my mind.
There's nothing like this in the world.
What we found was amazing.
believable. We were born for this.
Back in Fort Dodge on a gorgeous Friday night. Lots of zeros there. No score between Indianola and Pleasant Valley. Not Indianapolis, my goodness. Sometimes the words roll. It's not like I've never called an Indianola game before. And that first pitch here for Pleasant Valley as Klinger, Lindquist, and Meyer are due up for the Spartans against Sydney Sickles, who's dealing 8 strikeouts, starting to feel it. Paul Yeager, Laura Leonard, and I think, Laura, it must have been something I said, not you said. But Gene Berger, the executive director of the Iowa Girls High School Athletic Union, is here. Did we do something bad or something?
No, I just came to say thank you for doing the games and being such a great partner. And what a beautiful night to play softball.
Night, not early morning.
Yeah.
No.
As the walk to Klinger.
No rain, no 100-degree temperatures. Everybody's coming out. Good crowds. Good crowds all week.
Good crowds. We'll be up. We were within 400 of last night, so we'll be well over last year. This year.
You won a title game last night with Collins Maxwell. That was
fourth inning.
That was a great crowd. They both had IGHSAU had a lot of people here too.
Great crowd.
So what do you attribute that to? Do you think it's changing the way you've done the schedule this year, or do you just think it's the teams that are and the community supporting those teams? What do you attribute the increase?
I think some of it's a schedule, Laura. I think we obviously, you knew you were going to, if you lost, you were going to play the next day. People could plan on that. There wasn't a day in between. But, you know, there's just something about softball under the lights, right? It's meant to be played under the lights, I think.
The bunt is popped up. 3 Indians go, and it drops. Take a look at this one. This is good softball, Gene.
I know.
Almost. It's a fair ball the whole way. Good sense of mind to make the throw at second and erase Klinger. So Lindquist will be on with the fielder's choice. You know, the softball under the lights. So you have 2 last night, 6 and 8. You and I talked earlier this week about doing away with another one of those consolation games on Wednesday. Change that schedule. Instant feedback from anybody? Has it changed since we chatted?
I think there were certainly coaches who wished they could have played one more game, but there was certainly the other side with the administrators and the parents and the seniors.
Yeah.
That really liked it, and so I think overall it was positive. But we'll take another look at it. You know, media liked it. Fort Dodge liked it. My staff liked it. Not that that matters.
We liked it. I'll tell you what, our crew has just loved this double night.
Yeah.
Gene Berger right there. And she's got her pink visor on. And I even noticed a new pink twist. The bag with the medals,
yes.
Even that was pink.
Yeah, well, you never know when I'm going to put in some pink. But I thought we had a deal about 500 Twitter followers, and you would show up in your pink suit.
Did we get that?
I did, 503.
Yeah, it was a good week. I just left home before I brought the coat. Maybe I'll just bring that back out for basketball.
Okay, that would be good.
I think Laura still hasn't brought her jaw up from seeing it in person.
My retina's out is what had happened.
As that pitch is fouled away. And it's 1-2 on the batter, Mallory Lefevre. So you have one defending champ, and you get a new champ since 1982. Mm-hmm. You have still a chance for a defending champ and an Iowa girl that's coaching. Tonight, yes. 4 of the 6 coaches are women.
I know.
What do you think? Do you think that number is going to go up, or are we at the high water mark for that?
You know, it's interesting. We were talking about that a little bit, and you know, as Rick Dillinger and Tom Bakey and Brian Irby, some of the longtime veterans, and the new young coaches tend to be female. Roland Story. You know, Stacy's doing a great job at Indianola. So there's some really, you know, Hoover, good young female coaches coming up.
Well, and that's, I think, what you kind of want And I know a lot of times we talked about this in basketball, and you like to have the females in that position, coaching females. And I think maybe sometimes they have a different perspective in coaching that kind of an athlete, and the female athlete.
Yeah. And did you notice that we had female umpires calling home plate in championships?
You did last night.
That was not by accident either.
We were trying to listen in to Stacy. Sorry, I didn't interrupt like I should have.
Sorry.
All right, so she's coaching. You know, you have a former player. So, I'm sorry, you think, what else did you talk about in those meetings? I know one thing you did was with the, you did a ceremony that we covered here during the coverage, and that was your superintendent here at Harlan Rogers with Jim Winter.
Yeah, 36 years. Can you imagine what he's seen in 36 years at state softball? I mean, in just my 3 years with him, there was ducks in center field. we canceled Tuesday the first year.
Yeah.
He was so easy to work with, but you need people like that who care, and he cared. And in order to have a great championship, you need good people who are willing to get their hands dirty.
Carly Spellog is up with 2 on, 2 out, pops it out of play. You're playing the consolation games, and I still see good crowds coming for those 3rd and 4th place games.
Those did do well. Yes, we did. Newton threw well.
And Newton, that was a come from behind. They were down like 5-1 or something, so they weren't giving up.
Nope. Extra innings. A great Iowa girl returns to coach.
Isn't that something?
Great stories that you've been reporting on all week.
So what's next? What are we going to do differently?
I don't know.
Popped up. That's close to being in play, and it is. Sammy Becker makes the grab behind home to retire the threat. We got to see this one again. Popped up, throws the mask. Just the little things make a difference as they try to check that. So the Spartans leave more runners on base. So, okay, when you talk about what's next, I mean, there's a whole different ways to do it. I mean, you've just made some tweaks. I don't think you have major things you're trying to address right now when it comes to softball.
No, just grow the game. As general or as specific as you get, grow the game. It's important. Certainly we need to reverse the attendance on championship that's been down the last 5 of the 6 years. We'll reverse that. Get people back. Showcase the Iowa girl.
All right, I have to interrupt you, Gene, real quick because Jose Lara is joining us now, head coach from Pleasant Valley. And, Coach, you're facing a really good pitcher tonight. How do you try to get the bat on somebody like Sickles who just keeps spinning it away from you?
Well, we just we have to focus on contact. I think we're trying to do too much with it. She's supplying the power, so we just got to settle in, lock in on contact, let the ball do what it's going to do off the bat.
And Ellie is not doing too bad either. She's having a pretty good night out there, too. What's she doing right?
Well, she's just going to working on her line, staying on that figure 4, keep staying nice and tall, strong. She'll make the pitches.
All right, I appreciate your time. As always, thank you so much, Coach.
Thanks.
It's Coach Jose Lara. And by the way, thank you for backing us up and allowing us to do interviews with the coaches and mic them up. Do they give you resistance anymore?
No, they don't. I think they understand that it's bigger than just their program. They're on a stage. They're showcasing great softball. The good ones understand it, Paul. They don't give me much.
You talked about growing the game of softball. I kind of feel right now the game of softball is growing in popularity. Do you see any numbers that support that at all, or any trends that you see that support that?
Well, we were up 2,500 participants in our participation the year before. We haven't got this year yet. So it is growing. I think we've survived some club activities and things like that. We're trying to get along and play well with the clubs, and you can do both. And right now we just have a lot of really good, talented softball players in the state.
Young
very
softball
young
players.
Yes.
I noticed in a lot of the games that I've been to and done that it seems like a lot of the rosters are very young, a lot of 8th graders, freshmen, not a lot of senior-laden teams. I mean, there's a few, but it seems to be getting a little younger.
Yeah, and you look at the young teams, Dallas Center Grimes. They're sub 500 and get to state, win 8 or 9 in a row with all young kids. So, yeah, I think we're on an upswing.
I think it was their center fielder that was the difference, don't you?
She does come from a very athletic family.
Okay, so you talk, it just seems to be, though, every year it's like the younger players get better. The girls that maybe were playing as freshmen, sophomore get replaced by somebody who comes in behind them just because they're playing such good youth? Or how do you keep that senior and junior locked into those programs?
Well, I think the good programs that have long, consistent coaches have them locked in. But, we let 8th graders play in Iowa. That helps,
Yeah.
Do other states do that? Do other states allow that 8th grader or?
No, because we're the only state that plays in the summer, and all the other states are playing in the fall and spring, and so they're not quite, 9th grade yet. But I think it really helps develop a young kid, 5 years worth of softball and being able to stick with the sport. We have a lot of multi-sport athletes, though, that play softball in another sport, too. And I think that helps as well, just their dedication.
We've talked about multi-sport athletes. You like those. You don't like necessarily a girl doing the same thing year round. Why is it important to you that someone's well-rounded and at least plays 2 different sports?
Well, if you just look physiologically, the injury rate is much, much higher if you specialize in a sport.
Popped up and 3 collide. The second baseman makes the catch. Carly Spellog, wow, that's going on the highlight reel, I'm guessing. Look at this one. Going back 3, calling for it. Nobody heard the other. Somehow, Carly Spellog comes away, and that is how we end the 5th inning. Jean Berger, thank you so much for stopping by. Next year, we'll continue our discussion and get into even deeper issues. Or maybe a basketball.
Yeah,
thank you, Jean.
That would be great. Thank you so much for having me.
Back after this.
It's easy to get excited about all of the beautiful produce at the farmer's market, but then what do you do with it when you get home? Don't worry, we've got you covered. On the next Iowa Ingredient, 2 of our favorite chefs, Katie Meyer and David Borusio, will share some tips and recipes to help you get the most out of your market fresh foods. It's all on a special farmer's market episode of Iowa Ingredient.
Saturday morning at 11:30.
Do you Snapchat? So does IPTV. Add Iowa Public TV or snap our code. Get live peeks at our productions as they happen in real time. See exclusive behind-the-scenes content. Connect with all our social networks by visiting iptv.org/social.
It's on to the bottom of the 5th here in scenic Fort Dodge as those clouds just stay away. Just stay away. Watching a little system blow up over there, but we are high, dry, and in for a really good game. Sickles, infield hit all the way. That was a nice piece of hitting by Emily Wood. She has the speed, and she put it into play right there. My thanks to Jean Berger for stopping by and having a conversation just about life. Take a look at that bunt again. Even if she feels it cleanly, there's no way they make that. And Wood is such a great, great speed. So Ellie Spellog, the pitcher, they throw back down to first, and Wood is safe. Snap throw from Becker.
Well, and a snap tag, too, by Yenger down there. They threw to the inside part of the bag, and she just reaches around and knocked the helmet off of Wood.
Woo, ripped down the line, foul. Woo. Spellog got a hold of that one.
Here's a look at that snap throw and the way they position. And you just want to make that, you catch that ball and you're trying to slap it down as quick as you can. And Wood had slid back in head first, got the helmet knocked off.
Runner going on the pitch is Wood, and the ball is stopped. That you stop that ball at any cost, and that is what Peyton Anderson did. She sacrificed the body to keep that from going into center and saved a base.
Got a good jump, head first slide, and I think Anderson knew that that throw was going to be a little offline and did everything she needed to do to keep it in the infield.
The pitch.
Ball.
Misses. Ellie and her sister Carly on the team. Their dad is the superintendent at Pleasant Valley, announced his retirement at the end of next year. Popped up, has a good carry towards right, back at the wall. It's gonna bounce, land. One run's coming in to score. Here comes another for the inside the park home run. The throw, the tag, not in time. Inside the park, home run. Ellie Spellog, 2-0 Spartans.
And Gracie May had trouble picking that ball up in right field. Could not pick it up cleanly. Had to take a couple of swipes at it before she was able to grip it. And Spellhog just kept rounding the bases. Here it is off the top of the fence. And you can see Coach Laura sending the one runner, and Spellhog was right on her heels as she touched home plate for the inside the park home run.
And Coach Evans is going to make a walkout to chat. Let's listen in.
So they scored. Now we breathe, all right? We do some work. Okay, we need to get an out. Need to get some outs out here, all right? Shut them down. All the work is in you guys. Hey, we've never fought any harder, ladies. Let's do our work the way we know how. Do it, all right? Have your fun in the process. All's good out of you. Indians, 1, 2, 3. Indians. Here we go, ladies.
Coach Evans preaches positive reinforcement with her players. She's one that tries to coach them up.
And they're kind of some of their statements are, and you just heard one of them, do work, stay hungry, no excuses. And you just heard Coach Evans say, come on, let's do the work, let's get out of this. So what, they scored. You got to score to win. And so let's get out of this and get our opportunity to get to the plate. But what a rip down the line off the fence. And then when it wasn't fielded cleanly, Spellhog just never was gonna let up.
Rarely do you see an inside the park home run here at State. We've seen two today. Nolte did it for Hoover in the previous game. Laura's one of those that could hit it out of the park if you're not careful. Sickles is gonna have to buckle down here. This is how you find out what a pitcher's worth. What's your makeup? Pitching is, what is it? There's an old Yogi Berra saying about it being mental, but I mean, it is half mental, right? If not more.
Yeah, I think it is. You got to trust your stuff, and you got to get back into a rhythm. And right now, Sickles is letting that last event rattle her a little bit, and she needs to get back in the zone.
Well, she wasn't going to give Laura much. I don't think she's going to come close. She might take a chance here on Luke, and that's her third walk of the game to go along with those 8 strikeouts. 7 on her strikeouts. Two 2-0 here in the 5th. Pleasant Valley scored on a inside the park home run from Ellie Spellog that drove in Emily Wood. No doubt Wood was going to score. It's just a matter of Spellog could get there. Lupkin shows bunt, pops it up for a foul ball. Lupkin's one of those leaders on the hair color deal that we talked about earlier. She was one of the ones that all went in all head after the regional final. You can see it still kind of in that black hair, still shining. That's one of those memories. And kind of a nubber down to first. They throw to second, not in time for Laura. They just hold it. Would have had to have tagged her anyway.
It's just as good as a bunt right there, moving that runner down to second base. Now here's a contrast to the hair where it just looks like Klinger's got the ponytail and not the rest of her hair.
Well, Klinger was the other one who was the all-in. It was Alexia, Lara, Klinger, and Bell. Lupkin were the 3 ringleaders, if you want to call it that. And Coach Lara is going to make a walk to the umpire.
Number 12, going into pinch run for 7.
12 for 7. Okay.
Thank you.
So Laura is going to be replaced by Edwinson, Jordan Edwinson, a freshman.
Number 12 for 7. 12 for 7, pinch run.
Give Laura just a little bit of a break.
The ball's one back here.
Klinger knocks it foul. And into that area between the two diamonds here. The 0-2. Rise ball is just a piece knocked back by Klinger. You're not going to be unhittable forever. You just have to figure how to balance back.
And if you can just get out of this with just giving up the 2 runs, Indianola does have a pretty good attack at the plate that they can get back into the ball game. And you had mentioned that they were in a tough regional final, that they needed a walk-off home run to get here to state.
Foul ball giving chase is Becker won't get there. She runs out of room. We're sure it's McClement. Okay, it's McClement at first, not Edwardson, the other one with number 12 on the roster. My apologies. The 0-2 bounces.
Now, good job by Becker to smother that, not allow that runner to advance.
Ball.
And that is a ball. So now it's 2-2. Popped up, and again, just out of the reach of Becker. And now the stillness of the evening is settled. Take a look at that. Gorgeous, the orange sky there off of behind left field.
Just a great setting.
Man, that's beautiful.
To end the softball season with here at Harlan Rogers Field in Fort Dodge.
Popped up. Let's see if Becker can get this one. And she does, and sacrifices the body right in front of that camera. Great catch.
Nice play.
That was excellent by Sammy Becker.
Yeah, Becker last year was injured early on, and they didn't have her for most of the year. They had to change the lineup around and put some players in different positions, and now she's back healthy, back behind the plate.
And she's also considered the most musical of the team. She's always singing. She's the only one. Ground ball's gonna get through, and here comes the run. McClement is going to score. Pleasant Valley up 3-0. Big base hit from Sophie Lindquist.
And that's what you call timely hitting. You got the runner out there waiting for you at second base. Just right through the hole, up the middle. Good piece of hitting with 2 outs.
Now Jesse Meyer, the right fielder. And that pitch catches the corner from Sickles. Sydney was looking forward to playing Pleasant Valley because they hadn't seen her.
Yeah, you know, these teams go and they play a lot of tournaments on the weekends, and you see a lot of different competition. A lot of the Central Iowa teams will go over to the Iowa City to Davenport area, and vice versa. They'll come over into the Central Iowa area, but these two teams had not met up this season.
10 strikeouts for Sydney Sickles, and I'm going to take a guess she might be part of the game highlights that we're going to look at now, as put together here in this Class 5A. First, it was a infield hit, which then led to a stolen base by Emily Wood, and then Wood just kept on running because Ellie Spellog hit it. Got past the right fielder all the way to the fence. Coach Laura waves them both in. 2-0, And then Pleasant Valley scores one more run on this base hit by Sophie Lindquist that scored McClellan. That's how we got to a 3-0 Pleasant Valley lead. As they are now in the driver's seat as we come to the 6th inning. We've talked about it. The 6th inning's been big for Indianola. They scored 4 runs in the 6th against Hempstead and 5 runs in the 6th against Jeff. Let's see what they can do. And now they'll have to do it against the change in pitcher. You knew it was coming, just you didn't know when. Alexia Lara will come in and relieve Ellie Spellog.
You know, we talked to Coach Jose Lara, and I said, do you always do it? And he just said, yeah. And I said, no matter what the situation is. And he said, that's just what we do. He goes, it works for us. We believe in that system. And we're going to go to that 2-pitcher system and bring in Alexia, usually in the 5th or the 6th inning.
So here's a look at what she has done, Alexia Lara, 10-2 on the season. She's been in a lot of good games, a lot of close games. Even, well, see, Ellie Spellog got hit in the elbow in a game earlier this season back over in the Quad City area, and she missed a few games. And she comes back, and then going out, that's Emily Wood. And going to first. Pleasant Valley doesn't have numbers on the front, so I can't. Lundry goes to first. Okay. I think we got it all.
I think we got plenty.
And the umpires are still checking too. Now they're gonna.
Got to make sure they have enough softballs. All right, here we go in the 6th inning. Indianola, this is their inning. Bolton, Lewis, Becker, 2, 3, 4. Showing bunt is Bolton. The first pitch is a strike.
Bolton came back to the team, took a year off to play travel ball, like we've talked about most of the evening, but she came back to Indianola with the opinion that it wasn't really what she expected it was to be.
She's going to be out because she was way out of the box. Yep. Umpire was, home plate umpire Tom Berger was all over that one. I saw that too.
See if we can get a look at that. I don't know if we had the angle on that. And see, just so you can see what the umpire is seeing and why he's calling it. Right there, that left foot out of the box and in front of the plate.
Yeah.
And that's what they're looking for.
So there's one out for Destiny Lewis. Lewis was 2 for 3 in the semifinal. She's 1 for 2 in this ball game. Got her single back in the first. Talk about, you know, we talked about with Gene about the underclassmen, good freshmen. This is one of them. Swung on and missed by Lewis.
And she came up last year as an 8th grader, one of those, as you had mentioned, one of those young players, freshman this year, obviously. She might be the pitcher of the future for Indianola. Has some innings in under her belt this season.
She rips it down the left field line, but foul.
And has some pop in her bat.
Has some pop in her bat. Man, there have been a lot of foul balls pulled, just smoking.
Yeah.
This week.
I mean, that, I think you heard Coach Lara say about Sydney Sickles. She's generating the speed. And so you have the speed of the pitcher, and you have the bat speed of some of these hitters, those two things, that combination, balls can go flying in a hurry.
Which is why you see so many more masks. That pitch slips inside to Destiny Lewis. And Lewis swings and misses and strikes out, and knew it wasn't a good swing and didn't really want to run down to first.
That's an off-speed pitch, just down, and it just kind of, it was off-speed. She was out in front of it. Catcher didn't get it clean, but Lewis just was not happy with her at bat and decided not to run down to first.
Ball.
That one's out to the outside of the plate for a ball. 1-0 to Sammy Becker. The catcher, the junior tonight, is 0 for 2. And that one catches the corner.
Ball.
Well, and it's getting late in this ball game, but you just have to start thinking we need base runners. Even if you have 2 out, you got to have the mindset at the plate to get on base any way that you can.
Lara deals. That one's out of the zone. You know, Coach Lara took over this team 2 years ago. He was an assistant on that team, as that one is fouled away. Lori Duncan was the head coach, who played at North Scott. She's still around the program, kind of comes in, gets a little softball fix. They are in constant communication during the season. Swung on and miss Alexia Lara. She's picking right up where Ellie Spellag left off. The bottom of the 6th when we return. Pleasant Valley in the driver's seat.
The PBS Summer of Adventure continues with 10 that changed America.
That is mind-boggling engineering.
No passport required.
Where would we be without the Mexican-American chefs?
Earth's Natural Wonders.
This is a 200-meter drop.
And Kingdoms of the Sky.
Wow, amazing.
10 that changed America. No passport required. Earth's Natural Wonders and Kingdoms of the Sky. Part of the PBS Summer of Adventure.
Tune in to Iowa Public Television Tuesday at 7.
Join the conversation online with Iowa Public Television. Follow us on Facebook. Connect with us on all our social networks.
A beautiful Iowa evening. Orange sky. Big flat area to the west of here on the north side of Fort Dodge. And there's that purple thing. What is that? Oh, that's the IPTV production truck. The hardworking folks in there, making sure you see all these pictures and hear all these great sounds. They're in their 5th and final game, and hopefully the final inning and a half. We're in the bottom of the 6th. Pleasant Valley could be their final at-bat of the season. And that one slapped foul down the left field line. And Mallory Lefevre, I think, was already to second before that ball landed. She can move.
She just punched it out to left field, hoping it would land right on the line. And you look out there, and it looks like Destiny Lewis playing a little off the line, not really playing that close. And if you dump one in there, she certainly would be able to round first and get into second.
Hit to third. Over is Parker Matthews to Yanger. And odd not to get a strikeout. for Sydney Sickles. You know, Sydney, you know, I usually will ask girls, you know, what other sports are they involved with? And a couple of girls, I just felt like asking something different. So I says, you know, what do you do when you're not playing sports? What do you do? She goes, I play with my dog. Her dog, Rizzo. I said, oh, you're a Cubs fan, Anthony Rizzo? No, I just like the name. Because this one is lifted towards right, and it is caught by Gracie May in right field. Sometimes the love of a pet is really good therapy. We talk about Coach Dillinger driving home for 43 minutes. Just Rizzo, just petting Rizzo after a game and talking it over can really soothe things over.
I'm telling you, the animals, all the pets, they understand. They listen. They're good listeners. They sometimes talk back occasionally,
yeah,
but not always.
At 4 a.m.
At 4 a.m. Believe me, I've had my share of 4 a.m. wake-up calls.
Emily Wood slaps it for an out. Gracie May was coming in on that. And this is it, folks. Indianola's last stand. What do they have left in the tank? We'll find out in a moment.
Hi, I'm Charity Nebbe, host of Iowa Ingredient. More and more viewers are becoming sustaining members to support Iowa Public Television because it's easy and hassle-free. You simply choose an amount to give each month through your bank account or through your credit card, and you're set. It's a great way to support the shows you love month after month. You can give online or you can call 800-728-2828. Thank you so much.
Coming up on this episode of Iowa Outdoors.
I love writing and illustrating. There was a playwright, Horton Foote, who said that you don't find stories, stories find you. And I think that's the same with nature. You might not know nature, but nature knows you and keeps pulling you back.
Iowa Outdoors, Saturday morning at 9.
Well, this could be the final half inning. Pleasant Valley came over to the Des Moines area on the first weekend in June. They played Boone, Southeast Polk, and Johnston, lost all 3. And since that time, Laura Leonard, they said that was a turning point for them, that weekend tournament. They have absolutely righted the ship. They only lost 2 games after that weekend, Muscatine and West Des Moines Valley. They are looking to close out Indianola here in this 7th inning. 0-3-2 for Indianola, 3-5-1 for Pleasant Valley.
Well, and if you have a little blip in the schedule like that at some point in the season, you do start questioning yourselves and what are we doing wrong and what do we need to correct? And sometimes you overthink it and you can go one of 2 ways. You can keep going down the tank or you can right the ship, and they certainly did right the ship. And boy, I'll tell you what, good quick feet over there by the camera people that are down in that well right there.
Emma Yanger says she's been struggling just a little bit, trying to get a hit, trying to get her mind right. She wears number 99. She's got that Roman numeral tattooed on her arm. Lifted high in the air to left. It's playable in foul territory. Making the catch is Sophie Lindquist, and there's one away here.
You're fine.
For Indianola.
Well, Emma Yanger might be her last at bat for Indianola, but gonna get a play at Grandview next year, so.
She says the numbers don't go that high. That's why she has
had to have that tattooed on her arm.
Yeah. Getting a chance to swing again is Brooke Tucker, the junior. Pleasant Valley, 35-7. This is their 8th tournament appearance. And it comes here in 2018. 2 outs away from repeating. Both Quad City area teams could be taking home trophies. Davenport Assumption earlier today. Pleasant Valley holding on tight. The 1-1. Tell you what, Indianola not going away at all. Brooke Tucker trying to put that thing in play.
She's taken some rips, that's for sure, and why not? Why not swing away and try to start some kind of a rally?
Ball. The last repeat we had in the big school class that's from Eastern Iowa was Cedar Rapids Jefferson in 97 and 98. 98 was the last time that a Cedar Rapids City School won a title in the big class. Swung on and missed, Brooke Tucker. And there's one out away from a state championship for Pleasant Valley. That's the third strikeout for Laura. On this Friday evening, July the 20th, just after 9:30, the season could be moments away for both of these teams. Laura's pitch is in there for a called strike. Peyton Anderson, the last hope for the Indians, the senior.
She said a lot of the players on this team have come up together since 10U softball. They're a close-knit group, and she's trying to do her best to keep the inning alive.
And now they're down to their final strike. Just trying to put it in play, live for another day. On deck is Sickles, the other senior, one of the other seniors on this team.
Got some great senior leadership on this Indianola team. They're all going to graduate. A lot of them going to go on and continue their careers in college and would like to play a few more innings here of their high school career if they could.
1 ball, 2 strikes. The pitch. Fouled off into the net. The last 3 outs are the hardest ones to get.
And that was a good job of holding the hands back and on that off-speed pitch just to spoil it and get a little piece of it.
The 1-2. Swung on and missed. Back-to-back for the Spartans of Pleasant Valley. The second time in school history, they are the Class 5A state champions. PV was the team to beat nearly the entire season.
Well, hugs all the way around, and it was just the one big inning that they had, the 5th inning where they scored the 3 runs. Here's the last pitch of the ball game, a letter-high fastball, and PV gets to celebrate again.
Spellog's the first one out of the dugout. There's Ellie. And the Spartans and the Indians will shake hands. We'll have our all-tournament team named. The trophy presentation. And then we'll say sayonara for another year.
Can't believe it. Another season is in the books, and some repeat winners, some new winners this year, some new participants at the state tournament, some first-timers that have made an appearance here in Fort Dodge, and what a great tournament all the way around.
I don't think PV's complaining about getting the same pink shirt this year, right? Do you?
I don't think so.
That's a championship shirt.
Ladies and gentlemen, please direct your attention to the infield for the awards ceremony. Presenting the Class 5A All-Tournament Team medals is Farm Bureau Board of Director member Mark Buskol. Your Class 5A All-Tournament team. From Pleasant Valley, Ellie Spellog. From Indianola, Sammy Becker. From Cedar Rapids, Jefferson, Lindsay Culver. From Cedar Rapids, Jefferson, Erica Oler. From West Des Moines Valley, Kendra Schramm. From Fort Dodge, Daphne Allstott. From Pleasant Valley, Belle Lupkin. From Indianola, Emma Yenger. From Pleasant Valley, Alexia Lara. From Indianola, Sydney Sickles. And your 2018 Class 5A All-Tournament Team Captain, from Pleasant Valley, Carly Spellhog.
So 2 Spellogs make the all-tournament team. A couple of Indians. A lot of softball played with that group. And there's a look at your rundown of the teams. And you know what, Laura, you know, Spellog is going to play basketball, so what a way to go out on your last softball game with a state title.
Yeah, you get the opportunity to win a state title in one sport and then move on, moving on to college to Bradley to go play basketball. And I know that Bradley at times has allowed players to play both sports. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw her maybe not next year or the year after that, but maybe her junior or senior year, she might step onto that softball diamond again.
Provided by Iowa Farm Bureau, title sponsor of the Girls Athletic Union. Presenting awards are members of the IGHSAU Board of Directors, Deanne Kramer, Roger Francis, and Ron Fodness. Congratulations to the runners-up in Class 5A, head coach Stacy Evans, and the Indianola Indians on an outstanding 2018 softball season. And tonight, your ticket was punched, ladies, as the 2018 Class 5A State Softball Champions. Head coach Jose Lara and the Spartans from Pleasant Valley.
The Pleasant Valley Spartans almost ran over their athletic director, Deanne Kramer, there to get the trophy. Ladies, I'm the one who's going to have to unlock the keys to the gym for the party tonight when we get back. So 5 state champions crowned here in the last 2A. Collins Maxwell in 1A. That's their first title in school history. And it's their first trip to state as they're back together as Collins Maxwell. Louisa Muscatine in their first trip to state. Their first title in 2A. 3A Assumption repeats for their second title back-to-back. Des Moines Hoover, their second title, first since 1982. Can you guess what the third one's going to be? The last one? Pleasant Valley, 5A, second title, back-to-back. So similar for those Quad City teams, both Assumption and Pleasant Valley in the title games for their third straight season. Both of them easily could be back for a fourth.
Well, I think we'll see some familiar faces here again next year, and some newcomers as well as this sport evolves. But what a great tournament. 2 really great games last night. We had 3 really, really great games here tonight with a lot of action and a lot of spark and a lot of runs and excitement. And so overall, a great tournament. Congratulations to all the champions. Job well done to all of those participants and all the winners.
Third place went to Cedar Rapids Jefferson with a 2-0 win over West Des Moines Valley. Laura Leonard, I just love sitting next to you and getting to chat with you. It's so fun. And it is for this entire crew who works so hard to bring these action to you. 5 trophies have new homes in Collins Maxwell, Louisa, Muscatine, Assumption, Des Moines, Hoover, and Pleasant Valley. Great action all throughout the week. We will see you in Cedar Rapids for state volleyball for the entire crew at Iowa Public Television. I'm Paul Yeager. Good night from Fort Dodge. Funding for the Iowa Girls High School Softball Championships is provided by
The path to greatness starts early. The Iowa Farm Bureau believes in Iowa's youth and their pursuit of greatness. That's why we're proud to be the title sponsor of the Iowa Girls High School Athletic Union. Each student's effort is important, and when one rises, we all rise to a better Iowa.
Fairway, along with Nabisco, Frito-Lay, and Sara Lee, is a proud sponsor of the Iowa Girls Sports Championships. We congratulate all the schools and student athletes participating in this year's Girls High School State Softball Championships. Fairway, proud to care for the places we work and live. By Musco Lighting, the sports lighting specialists, providing lighting systems for you, your project, and your community.